And confidence is where a lot of the speed comes in. Oh my goodness! Saves it! How in the world?
It comes from very far back, but was able to get the car slowed up.
And he knew. Look at how early he positioned himself. I would not have been that confident. That is amazing. What a save from Warren. And there, yeah, that is brave stuff. Rint doesn't usually offer up a chance to pass. And then Warren, who was eager to try and retake it, looked like I thought he was going to get a great run on the front stretch, just goosed it too hard.
Oh, and their teammates apparently, from what I've been told. So yeah, rule number 1: never hit your teammate. And let's take a look at what happened. So that's Karjalainen going around the outside of the S's, getting the car to roll through. He's got the inside for the corner, a little bit of a slide. And I don't know about you, DJ, but that's gonna be a racing incident, I think, 50-50.
Olton is a very, very narrow circuit. You're not able to get as clear as you think, as we got a little bit of side-by-side talk about aggressive moves from a Jordan Svetnov.
Jordan Svetnov's not done, though, here, because Stephen Orr was trying to get back underneath.
We're still side by side with Sanchez, though. He's given it another go. Did he learn lessons from last time? This time he cuts back a lot earlier. Will that help him out as he goes for the back and forth once again? But this time, Walker is the one who has gotten wise from that one. He covers off, clear around the outside, though. Holy cow! Sanchez learned his own little trick, and that's the one that gets him the spot.
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to ride around the world.
I'm Mick Claridge, and I'm going to ride around the world on my bike.
My son, he gave me advice at the start of this ride, and he looked at me and just said, "Dad, don't be a moron."
Let me do my animal signal to gain their respect.
How's it going, Sally? Yeah, I'm alright, Mick. How's it going? Worse than that bit in Lord of the Rings, where they go into the top and the spiders in the tunnel. I'm just hoping there's a spider at the top of this one to kill me. Freezing.
And I failed. I moroned up the ride.
Brazil is a country of flamboyance and energy, and when it comes to racing, there's few categories more flamboyant than GT1. A show of incredible speed and power, these cars were no joke in their heyday. Let's see how our drivers adapt going from tiny formula cars to these beasts as we get ready to watch round 1 of the RTA GT1 Challenge. And you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is SRO driver Michael Johnson. Behind the scenes is our director, Zach Johnson, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Interlagos will be an interesting test for these vehicles. Let's head to our track guide to learn what challenges it brings. Welcome to Autodromos Jose Carlos Pache. Most fans and drivers simply know this place as Interlagos. Starting life as an absolute behemoth of a circuit, this Brazilian track was eventually truncated to the version you see today. Having hosted Formula One for roughly 3 decades, it's become very well known on the international stage. But it has also held rounds in the World Endurance Championship, as well as frequently seen Brazilian stock cars, motorcycles, and even truck racing. There's little difference between its 2 layouts, which includes the GP course and the Moto course, which simply adds a chicane to the end of the lap. In both cases, it's a tale of 2 circuits. The run past the start-finish line and into the Senna S, followed by the blast towards the Descida do Lago, are very high-speed sections that come back-to-back. Drivers will need to focus on top end in order to attack or defend. Expect most passes to happen in those 2 corners. But from Ferradura until Juchão, the track suddenly twists itself into a mess of hairpins and frustratingly technical turns. This can make car setup a real compromise, and for the latter part of the lap, an absolute pain when dealing with traffic. Pit exit is also a narrow affair, so it requires drivers to take care when trying to maximize their outlaps. On the upside, with this being a modern F1 track, there's paved runoff in abundance at many of the fast corners. The passion of the Brazilian fans always comes out in force at races, and it's no wonder with this picturesque track sandwiched right amongst the neighborhoods of Sao Paulo. Well, Interlagos is going to be one that gives, I guess, kind of 2 separate tracks to them here today, Michael. So that's going to be fun with all the power underneath that right foot to see how they handle that.
With the heat on this track, you could be cooking your own little pão de queijo, or however you say it, that cheese bread that they make down there, right on the track. It is hot, hot, hot. Through these 15 turns, man, it's going to be tough. 2.7-ish miles around here, about 4.3 kilometers. Every turn here is famous for something. Usually somebody wrecked there, and that's how you remember it. But wow, does every turn bring a story. You're going to see so much stuff going on here. The big passes coming down the more or less straight from Jundiao down to turn 1 into the Senna S. Again, going down to the Descida do Lago. Everything through that infield section, man, this is going to be an off-the-hook kind of day. I think we're going to see a lot of action through the next couple of races here tonight.
Indeed. And speaking of the next couple of races, let's take a look at the race details for this one. And they've got 3 separate races. If you're new to the RTA, race 1's only going to be 15 minutes, and it'll be set by qualifying like you normally have in most races. Now, race 2 is only 10 minutes long, and it'll be the grid according to the finishing order for the first race. Now, race 3 is the longest of them at 20 minutes, and the top 8 out of race 2 are going to be reversed. So finishing order in each of the races is going to be very important here today, because it will affect the following races, meaning you want to at least get a decent one to put yourself in the hunt for a win. Each race also has some penalties that they hand out, including a drive-through at 12, and then a disqualification at 20. So got to keep it on the course in this modern F1 track, which has a lot of paved runoff in some places. But right now they are in the midst of that open qualifying, only 15 minutes to get a good one in. And it sounded like from some of your time stepping into the car, Michael, that it's going to be tough to get a clean lap.
This is a tough place to get a clean lap, especially, as you were mentioning, with this much horsepower available to you under that right foot. These cars were built in a time where it was more about the driver's control than the computer control. kind of like F1. When we watch the F1 races here, you see a lot of people, especially in practice, going around. Maybe not so much during the race because they kind of figured it out by that point, but these cars are just monsters. They really are. You have to be absolutely on point from start to finish. Through all 3 races and qualifying here. Sure, run it a little bit on the edge in qualifying. I mean, that's what everybody does. That's what you have to do. But once it comes race time, if you just miss your mark by a tiny little bit, either of these cars is going to go for a nice little loop-de-loop.
Not going to be as forgiving as the IR04 from last season, that is for sure. But Rory O'Shea sure seems to have it figured out as he's got the pole. But Ronan Doherty is a mere 1/100th of a second behind on that front row. So that could easily change around in these next 7 minutes. And this is Ronan coming up to the start-finish line right now, but I believe he is on an out lap, so I don't think this one's going to count. Let's see how he takes this first part of the course. A lot of elevation change here as well, Michael.
Yeah, diving down here into the Senna S. This is one place that a lot of beginning drivers mess up. They focus too much on making the first turn perfect. You want to kind of give up? Not quite like that, but give up on that first turn to extend this straight. You want to make this very, very, very long straight so you can keep your foot on it all the way down here, and you'll catch people coming down into this corner as you go into the brakes, and it's right there about 75 meters, but you got to be careful on right here, that part right there. It's so much of a downhill, and you're still off camber as you're scooting through there. The rear end really wants to come out. Now we're going to switch it up, and now you're back on camber with some uphill help and a little bit of curbing there. You got a lot of exit that you can use here, but you've got to slow it down, and once again, get it tight on the right side. Beautifully set up there by Ronan Doherty, holding all the way around the inside. Now you can go to power. I would have liked to have used a little more of that exit curbing, but I can see where he's trying to open up this corner to slide himself in. And again, he's going to kind of hold that to the right side, put the hammer down, and fly through this corner as he comes in to Yonsao, which is more or less your last corner. Sure, there are 2 corners as you come up here, but this is all full throttle right here. And unless you get a little happy on the throttle, as we saw that little bit of a rear end twitch coming up through there. But now the car is climbing 130, 140, 150 miles an hour as we come past the start-finish line. 155 shooting up. We'll probably hit 160, 165 before the end of the straight. About 160 before he goes into the brakes. That was actually a pretty decent lap for some cold tires, quite honestly. I think he's probably one of the better drivers as he's in P2 right now. But I wouldn't count out somebody like Peter McCann. We see he's a little bit, about a 1/10 and a half back. I would not count him out. Peter McCann, glad to see him back up on the front in that top group. I think he was not as happy with the IR04s, but this one, I think this is a car he's going to like. So I think we'll see something out of him in this race.
Yeah, obviously Ronan having that slip up through Curva de Sol really discounted that previous lap. And I'm seeing a lot of laps that are being deleted on the timing screen, unfortunately. Wayne Douglas just jumped up, though, so looks like 8th place for the number 6, and one of our very few Corvettes. And I'm curious to see how the dynamic will be between the 2 makes of cars, because there's not many Corvettes here, Michael. And yes, there are some long straights, but I don't think that infield section will be very kind to the beastly C6.
In my experience, having driven both of these cars in iRacing service, I find the Corvette harder to drive. But once you get it dialed in, it is just blow your mind fast. It feels scary. The noises that it makes, the rumble that comes out of the car when you've got a good set of headphones on when you're trying to drive in the simulator, it feels almost too real. And boy, is it ever fast down the straightaways. However, the Aston Martin, I think, has a little better feel on rotation when you're trying to get back to power mid-corner. I think you can slide it around a little more freely, and I think it's just better under braking. So with a track like this, I think it leans heavily towards the Aston Martin. But don't count out these Corvettes, because if you've got a really good driver in a Corvette, they get down to Yonsao and try to take off out of that corner, you could see them go from a car length behind to a car length in front, probably even without draft by the time they get to turn 1 into the Senna S.
Yeah, I think that's the real threat here, is if they've got the handling figured out, then it could be lights out for those who are trying to keep them behind there. Now, I'm watching to see if anybody's close to improving. McCann might be able to make something in the number 14, but we're watching a few of them head down the Interlagos. This is McCann now that we've got coming up through there, being followed by Hederman that you saw flash across the screen. McCann crosses the timing line now, and that one gets deleted, so that doesn't count. Hederman does have that lap count, but he's about 7/10 off of his best lap. Nothing doing there. Joe Pinder, Ronan Doherty, what have they got underneath them this time across? Pinder doesn't have that lap go down. Doherty not able to improve on his 28.8. He was only a 10th away from it, though, so it was pretty tight, and there's a spin across the track from Joe Pinder. Unless he gets out almost immediately, he's not going to be able to get a lap in.
It's going to be a challenge getting around this track. If we're looking at these lap times, about 1.5 minutes per lap is what you're expecting. But that out lap is a little bit slow because the exit of the pit lane is not quite as free as people might think. If you've watched F1 here, you see how they just kind of mash the gas and go. But they've got a lot of downforce that these cars don't have. So it's a little bit of a challenge to try to get through there.
And let's also remember that they don't have the hot laps counts in this series. So once they get to the end of that timer, that is it. There's no circling back around to try and finish. So some of the drivers coming across pretty soon are going to be on the last lap that they'll see timed. As up the hill once again, McCann is looking well off of his good pace. Hederman, though, pulling a bit of a toe, and that's helping him quite a bit. I think the number 4 might be able to jump up from 10th position here. Let's see what he's going to be able to do. A 29.9 is his best, and it shuffles him up into 8th position. So that is up a row. And nicely done. He'll get one last shot here if he gets around in time. But now we've hit that 129 mark. Everybody who's crossing the line is hitting their last lap.
Yeah, unfortunately for Hederman, he was trying to get that extra lap. He was getting some help there for sure, but he was trying to get that last lap. Unfortunately, hit the leading edge of one of those curbs and took out that opportunity to run just one more.
Sergei Grabun is not going to be able to go any faster, so he's done. Adam Dowling, though, into 9th with his 129.9 he just set. And let's see who else is coming here. Keith Dempsey doesn't go any faster. Evan Walsh abandons his lap. John Schwartz, unfortunately, sees his lap deleted. Gandor is not going to see a faster lap. In fact, that looks like some sort of out lap for him because that was very off pace as well. Meanwhile, down into the line, John McDonald down in 19th. Not going to see any improvement this time. Do we have anybody else still out there?
Ooh, I was trying to take a look at Hanley, who was actually a couple of tenths up, looking like he was doing good, but ended up having to park the car because when you hit the wall like that, there's not much else you can do.
I think I see, yeah, Sergey has already completed his lap, so that's it. That is everybody, and our qualifying is done here today. So that means that our grid is set for the first race, and Ronan Doherty has the pole position. Rory O'Shea is within about 0.3 of a second, so it's a bit of a gap, but not impossible to overcome. Peter McCann will start from 3rd, as Keith Dempsey will be P4. Then you've got Jacob Money in the 5th position, Evan Walsh starting P6. John Schwartz starts 7th today, with Ronan Hederman in the 8th position. Adam Dowling will start 9th, and Wayne Douglas rounds out your top 10.
In the number 2 car, it'll be Dennis Hanley Jr. Leading up row 6 with Sergei Grabun. P13, Brian McCarthy. 14th is Sean McClements. Wingfei Chan in 15th. Jamal Gandor in 16th. Sam Tomlinson, Tony Stack, John McDonald, and George Darazi. Sorry, I think I got it right that time. And then our last 2 are going to be Joe Pender and Rob Parks on row 11.
All right, so it is going to be a rolling start, and they will have about half a lap here through the infield section to get it ready. It's still quite hot on the track, as we heard Michael talking about earlier. It's cooled down to about 120 Fahrenheit, but that's about 3 or 4 degrees cooler than before. Still blisteringly hot. today. New track, well, not new track, different track, new car for these drivers. Let's find out who can go from the tiny little open wheeler to an incredibly fast GT car circa 2009.
It's going to be all about the braking, I think, for these guys. Who is best on brakes? When they were in the IR04, you could pretty much just stomp on the brake pedal, no ABS, but it would still hold on for you. But in these cars, when you stomp on the brake pedal, you are definitely locking them up. So it's going to be the control of that modulation of the brake pedal to see how these guys are able to handle turn number 1. I'm expecting with the quality of driver we have here, it's going to be fine. But, you know, I've been wrong before. Let's hope I'm not this time.
Exactly. We want to see as many drivers get to enjoy the race as possible here, at least through the first lap. And, well, from there, it's going to be everybody trying to do their own thing. But Ronan Doherty leading the way, coming down through Magulo and up towards the last and final braking zone of the lap. And then it's up the hill to be released by the pace car. And they should have a pretty quick green flag since the timing line is almost immediately after that pit entry. So they shouldn't have very long for Ronan to be able to decide when to go, probably expecting him to take off almost immediately. And up here, you mentioned there are technically corners. We've got Water Tower, appropriately named for the water tower that is to the outside of it. And then after that, it is going to be Subidos dos Boxes, named after all of the seats out there that many fans you can see lined up to view on one of the fastest parts of the track. Pace car ready to head in. Doherty is waiting to go. And now he is off. Green flag is out. The 9 gets a very, very good jump. And in fact, it looks like Peter McCann might have a shot at taking second place away down into the Senna S. Oh, but he's going to tip into the side of O'Shea. They both go off to the outside, and the rest of the field is by them. A disaster start for second and third.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. That's what I was talking about, controlling those brakes, trying to not get into that lockup. But unfortunately, there's only so much you can do, especially if you're used to a lot more downforce like we were seeing in the previous season where they were driving the open wheel cars. Right now, trying to get that braking going on before they get too deep into the corner. Well, that gets to be exciting, but now we're watching as Ronan Doherty just streams away. He's got over 1.2 seconds away from these guys. Dempsey about 1.2 behind him with Money, and Schwartz following not too far behind.
Don't need to go to it, but we had a spin from Wing-Fei Chan coming into the Descida del Lago. He gets the car going. So at least everybody is still rolling at this stage. But, do we have an issue for Wayne Douglas? I'm seeing him losing a lot of spots. The 6 looks like maybe he goosed it a little too hard coming out of Pinarino. At least, again, the car is still running.
Yeah, the little pine tree is a difficult corner. And there we go. Is that Peter McCann that came around there? That looks like his...
That's
livery.
Evan Walsh.
I can't see that. Oh, that's Evan Walsh. Okay, Evan Walsh having a little bit of a spin there.
He's very lucky. He was right in the middle of the racing line, and everybody found their way around. That was Adam Dowling on the outside of the junction. And, man, this has been a rough one as the cars spread out on their way down into the Senna S once again. This is the battle between, it looks like, Sean McClements and Jamal Gandour. And they come through the Curva de Sol. Is it just me, or is McClements running a Maserati GT1 scheme on that DB?
I was going to bring that up too, but I wasn't quite sure if I could recognize it properly. There were so many fantastic liveries from the era, but I like this one. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it definitely was one of my favorites. Not quite the right car, unfortunately, for what he's driving since he's in the Aston Martin, but he's holding his own. He's in 8th position. That car ahead of him is Jamal Gandour that he is fighting with as they come into SA.
Yeah, right here, this is a part you really have to be patient. Coming around this little bit here, coming into the little orange tree and the little pine tree sections. That's, I always translate them because my Brazilian pronunciation, even my just plain old Portuguese pronunciation is terrible. So I'm just going to translate it and go from there. But that section, you find so many people trying to push a little bit too hard, and it sends them right around, especially when it's so tight like that.
Well, that's upsetting because I was going to rely on you for your Portuguese, but I guess
I got you if we're going German, maybe a little Dutch. It's not too bad, but yeah, let's not talk about my Portuguese. It's terrible.
Wayne Douglas, in the meantime, in the yellow Corvette. Joe Pinder in the purple Aston Martin. And no, in a Corvette as well, it looks like. So it's a Corvette on Corvette here, fighting for 14th place, but Joe's not able to take the position. Great exit from Douglas coming off of the Senna S, though. Absolutely runs away.
Yeah, that's exactly what you want to do. You see how much of that outside curbing he used while we're looking out the window of Pinder there. Pinder could have used a little bit more if he'd gotten on the power a little bit earlier, but like I was saying before, in these Corvettes, man, these things get pretty crazy coming off the corner when you get too fast into that throttle. So I think he's biding his time, taking a little bit of extra caution right now. And hey, we got a dangling mirror here. I love this. It's going to make it difficult to see who's behind him, but you know what? If they're behind you, I don't think it matters anymore, right?
And this is one of the few cars, well, I shouldn't say few anymore. They've been introducing many of them in recent years, but these two cars have the new damage model on them, so you can wind up doing that and seeing parts scatter across the track. We had a spin for Rob Parks there on screen in the 111. He's going to get it going. I've seen a lot of these that we haven't reported on. It seems like it's been the biggest difficulty just keeping the cars from spinning in the corners.
Yeah, again, it comes back to that power application. You really have to be good on that right foot, and you got to be good on your left foot, assuming you left foot brake, when you're going into the corners. These cars, unless you have them set up perfectly, you're going to have to be really careful on that brake pedal, and you can't go super deep when you're trying to trail brake. However, if you've had some time to work on a setup, well, then you can get pretty deep. But I think the standard defaults, like sprint setups or whatever that you get from iRacing, are going to be quite the handful when you're trying to trail brake into a corner.
Speaking of which, big handful of oversteer for Jacob Money, kept it under control out of the Descida del Lago. He's been battling with John Schwartz, and then they've also got Ronan Hederman catching up. Each of them up 3 except for Money, who has gained 2. He goes a little wide through Esse and into Little Pine Tree. He's under severe threat from John in that 17. Will he try something into the duck spill? Doesn't look like it.
This looks like a really good opportunity for that Corvette. I think he's going to be able to do something here when we get down into Insal and try to get under the brakes. You see how far out that Corvette is, and now he can put the power down. Not too much, uses a good bit of that curbing on the exit. Now it's time for the drag race. Is that Corvette going to be able to take him? Looks like he's closing it up just a little bit, and that's not just draft. That Corvette does beautifully when you get those long legs going.
And he got the power down very well. He's going to try and outbrake him into the Senna S. I think he might have this done. Money's going to try and go through quicker, but he finds the rear bumper of John Schwartz, and that's going to halt him. John's now up onto the podium.
I think that was just a little congratulatory kiss for the beautiful pass done. That's what it looked like to me.
Is that what you guys call it?
That's what I'm going to stick with, yeah.
Okay. Meanwhile, you see the bobbing and weaving from Dennis Hanley Jr. here in the number 2. And, oh, maybe a little look from McClements on Gandor. Gandor will lose it. And he goes off into the paved runoff. Car doesn't hit anything, but he loses about 3 or 4 spots. 5 now as another one goes by.
That was good timing on his re-entry. That is some serious heads-up driving when you notice another car coming on. He was in a dangerous location, able to get the car going again and back out of the way, even for those little off-track runs that sometimes happen through there. As we watch him coming up into the pine tree. Wow, we're going too wide. This is going to be some exciting racing going on through this twisty section.
Gave an attack on Wayne Douglas, and Douglas said no and shoved it back. And meanwhile, he's got Peter McCann coming around his outside of the duck spill, but nothing doing. So looks like Gandor now down to 14th from that mistake after he was within the top 10 and potentially fighting for a top 5 for a moment. Already this race is flying by. We're halfway through the first of 3 this afternoon. And taking a look up at the top of the field, this is the Sprite machine of Ronan Doherty. Only about 2 seconds ahead of Dempsey. I think Keith has been keeping him honest here.
Keith has been doing a good job trying to keep that gap under 2 seconds. He's at about 1.8 now. He's been down as close as 1.6, but then we get a little bit of a turnaround there. Oh, that's not good. That's going to be, I'm sure there's some words being exchanged at this point.
That was McCarthy, who we initially saw off track in the Senna S's, kind of minded his own business, trying to get back on the track. And unfortunately, next to him, there was a big spin from O'Shea, getting his wheels into the grass. Wayne Douglas got caught up into that. They all three just kind of clattered across into the barriers. Watch this. Watch the cars off to the right-hand side. They're going to battle side by side, and one's going to lose control.
Yeah, it looks like maybe a little bit of target fixation, possibly, with that car coming back on track, and then just an unfortunate situation that happens every once in a while. There's not a whole lot you can do about that, except remind yourself to not do it next time, as we see another Corvette getting a little wiggly coming through there.
Go! What a big incident into the Interlagos, and I think that's why we've lost Rob Parks as well. So Parks, Walsh, O'Shea have all come into pit lane to take a spare car. They do have one ready for them if they want it. And yeah, I was just trying to get the car going. And other driver, the 12, that was O'Shea, just wasn't aware that that car was going to be there.
Yeah, I think he was moving just a little bit slower than he was expecting. So coming around that corner, you expect people to be on it full tilt boogie, and seeing that he had just come out of the runoff area, I think kind of surprised him a little bit. He just couldn't do much about it.
Wayne Douglas also going to have to join and take a pit stop here. Oh, no, is this a drive-through?
Looks like a drive-through for that contact would be my guess. I think he may have hit his incident limit.
Good catch, yeah. That's being a naughty boy there. So the 6 through the pit lane and back out and running. He's still in 17th. So that's little consolation to those who wound up having to come in for repairs after that one. Meantime, I mentioned earlier, Doherty's still leading. Dempsey's still about 2 seconds behind. John Schwartz, though, in his fight with Jacob Money, lost a lot of time. He's about 6 seconds behind. In the meantime, this is coming down towards Mergulo and into the junction. That's Tomlinson leading Tony Stack, Peter McCann, and Jamal Gandor all in a train.
Yeah, this is a nice little group. I've been keeping an eye on these guys on timing and scoring. They are keeping it tight. Nobody more than about 6/10 apart from each other. This little group being led very nicely by Tomlinson, doing a good job staying out front. And he's actually running right about his consistent race pace, staying very consistent through this whole time. Trying to stay out front, though, he's got some serious trouble coming up behind, and by the name of Peter McCann. Peter is a very fast driver and does like these GT cars.
Yeah, all three of them are 8 positions changed, but McCann is down 8 while the others are up 8. Peter's got a good run, but he elects not to try and attack here into the Interlagos. Can't quite find better speed exiting there as Tony Stack parks it on the apex.
Yeah, and there's a little bit of racecraft that goes on there. You have to decide that it's the right time to pass. You don't pass because you can, you pass because you should. And when all of that lines up, sure, that's great, but you don't want to pass just because you can pass someone. It might put you into a very bad situation, like if you're trying to pass going into Yunsao. You're up on the inside, the other person stays outside, they're going to get the run on you coming up. But right here, a little bit of a lockup trying to come down through the little wait, is that orange tree or pine tree? I forget which one is it. That's the Ducksbill. There we go. So going into the Ducksbill, coming down now into Yunsao. I am impressed with how wide these guys are opening up the entry to that corner, getting the power down. Now we're going to see yet another drag race, but it's Aston on Aston on Aston on Aston. So these guys are going to be pretty well set the same as they try to work their way up towards the start-finish.
It was a great run from Tony Stack. He might actually be able to give a go at Tomlinson here. No, he's going to leave the door open.
McCann's going by?
McCann's going to get 1. He might get 2, though, right here. Tomlinson spins the wheels up out of the Curva de Sol and down the Retta Aposta. He's already got better momentum and a nose ahead.
Yeah, looks like McCann's going to get that nose ahead. Now we get into the braking zone. Later into the brakes goes McCann. Is he going to hold this, or is he going to go wide and holds it beautifully right to the edge? A little bit of wiggly. Now it's going to be a drag race coming back up into this quick right-hander before we get into the twisty bits. Looks like McCann is going to hold on to this one.
Well, you talked about can versus should, and Peter McCann could have, but he decided he should when he would get a 2-for-1 there coming down the Retta Aposta. Still a tight fight behind him, though. Tomlinson, Stack, and Gandor. Gandor giving a little bump of hello to Tony Stack, and into the duck spill once again. They're going to go, which, by the way, that is perhaps one of my favorite corner names in all of racing.
Absolutely, but I gotta say, you're leaning on the point of McCann can. Da, 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 da. That's all I can think of for like 30 seconds.
UK and I driver, unfortunately, not a French one, so he'll maybe have to visit that one later once we get some more French tracks here coming our way on iRacing. 1 minute left, though, coming our way here in this first race. Peter McCann is now up to 9th, but I think that's where his progress will stall unless he gets a mistake from someone in front handing him a lucky position. And in fact, are we going to get another lap from Doherty, or is this it?
Oh, looks like trouble with McCann. He got a little bit wide coming through Santa S's, and now he's falling back. I wonder if he had a course cut there. Trying to see if there's something. No, I don't see anything, but going very wide. I would normally say, if we were watching a real world, a meat space race, that was a cut tire, but that doesn't happen in iRacing, so I'm not sure exactly what happened to McCann right there.
Looks like, from what I can tell, he drifted his wheels off into the grass out of the Senna S, and that cost him a lot of speed on the run through Curva de Sol. So that meant that he had to give it up. Meanwhile, this is going to be close if we get the checkered flag or the white flag right here. 12 seconds left, and Doherty's coming to the line. It's going to be a white flag with about 6 seconds to spare. So he's going to take them around for one more lap. But again, Dempsey's not close enough to try and challenge. This, however, is going to get feisty. Knowing they got one more, and spinning to the inside, Peter McCann. I thought he was done and dusted with those guys with that initial pass, and now he's cost himself dearly.
Yeah, dropping those tires. One of the things I talk about is when I'm doing coaching is the 3 Ps. And looks like he kind of lost out on that. You got to have that. Oh, is this going to be a fuel stop? Did he not have enough fuel? No, this is going to be a penalty stop. He's coming through black flag.
Yes, it is. Oh, and Rory O'Shea's been DQ'd. Rory O'Shea had so many incidents. He's done for this race. I think he'll be allowed in the remaining 2, but I believe he's going to be gridded up at the very back. And here we see another driver down in. Peter McCann, no surprises there. He's been involved in a lot here today. So he falls to 14th, serving that penalty, and actually going to be battling with McCarthy. Well, no, McCarthy just spun off as we got a battle side by side coming down here. It's all happening. Hederman just had a spin as well. This is into the horseshoe between the likes of Tomlinson and Gandor. Gandor gets that position. Suddenly things have just gone crazy out here. I said it's a flamboyant culture here in Brazil, but these guys are taking it maybe a little too literal at the end. But Ronan Doherty is going to take the victory in the first race of the day here in the RTA GT1 Challenge.
Wow, bringing a UK and Ireland style to the Brazilian racetrack here. Woo, this has been a crazy one. Is that Peter McCann going to do a little more lawn maintenance out here?
That was
not
Gandor.
A good race. Oh, that one was Gandor. That was Jamal Gandor. Wow, this has been a crazy race for these guys.
Derazi is going to capitalize on that, and Gandor has another black flag here to try and serve that, or his first for those incidents. He's not going to be able to serve it. He's coming into pit lane. That's going to be a DQ for him, I think, potentially, or a time penalty post-race. Derazi winds up in 21st. Okay, he was 6 laps down, so that wasn't for position himself. I think the last of them coming to the line. Wayne Douglas nearly got by Peter McCann at the very finish himself. Last one across is going to be Joe Pinder in 17th. And I think that's going to give us results on that one. And yeah, there you see Ronan Doherty taking the win with Dempsey finishing in second. John Schwartz was P3 and Jacob Money fourth. After that, Dennis Anley Jr. P5. And Sean McClements up many spots to sixth place. I think it was an 8-position gain. Sergei Grabin was seventh, and Ronan Hederman wound up in eighth. Sam Tomlinson P9, and John McDonald was 10th. Michael?
Yeah, and looking at P11, that's going to be Tony Stack, as we see our first 5 rows right there. Oh, that's going to be, let's get on to the starting grid then with Ronan Doherty at, oops, sorry.
Well, it's the same as what we just announced.
It's going to be the same. So yeah, let's go with Tony Stack in 11th, Adam Dowling in 12th, Peter McCann. Rough race back in 13th. It'll be interesting to watch him work his way through now. Then Wayne Douglas, Wingfei Chen, Jamal Gandorp, Joe Pender, Brian McCarthy, Rory O'Shea, and Evan Walsh are your top 20, with 21st and 22nd being taken up by Darazi and Parks.
All right, so we're back again for race 2, and if that was crazy, who knows what a 10-minute sprint is going to bring us here, especially now that drivers have had a sense of what these cars are going to be like, and we've got some people out of position. Let's remember, guys like Rory O'Shea, much faster than that 19th start position is going to imply here, Michael.
Yeah, I'm thinking a little bit of a crash-up derby, maybe, with only 10 minutes. Everybody trying to get positions made so they can get into that right spot. I think the place to finish in this one is going to be 8th. You want to be in 8th, especially if you were further back, because that way you get to start first on the final race. So if I were in P7, I might be willing to lose a place. If I'm in P9, I'm really working to get that 8th place out of this race. So it's a little strategy, because you got to remember there are 3 races to each round. So let's watch what happens on this one to see where these guys go with this absolutely stunningly crazy 10 minutes we're about to see.
Yeah, and they do score points for each round equally. So, yes, he could try and go for the 8th, but it won't give him as many points. What it could do is, if he doesn't think he can get much higher from that 8th, I got to think, might as well sit around and wait a little bit there, get himself that pole position, and give away a few points there to gain so many more to get the win in the finale, the longest race of 20 minutes. So we now come up to the starting line here in just a moment, and they're going to be released once again. And Ronan Doherty starting from the pole position where he took victory in that last race. Can he make it a double here in the first 2 of the GT1 Challenge Series? They're waiting patiently behind the pace car, which is going to be ducking in just a second. There it goes. Ooh, very quick start from Doherty. He goes immediately, and the green flag is out. It's another fight for 3rd position. Last time, that did not go very well into the Senna S. Jacob Money trying to hold off Schwartz, and Schwartz backs out a little more than what we saw before. We got a car backwards up there, and I think that's Adam Dowling.
Yeah, rough for Adam Dowling. We've got a couple of cars turned around and sideways coming through there. And one coming out of the pits looks like somebody had a pit release. I'm going to guess that was Wayne Douglas, possibly coming with a pit release. But now we got a Corvette on an Aston right here, trying to come through that quick corner, putting the power down. How's it going to end up?
So far, still leading. Ronan Doherty about half a second ahead of Dempsey. Last time, he kept Dempsey at arm's length, about 2 seconds towards the end of the race. Darazi is off in the background. Sean McClements has also taken a tow to pit lane. That's a fast driver, Sean McClements, so that is going to be extremely disappointing for him as well.
That was a little bit of contact, I think, coming through there. Looked like someone trying to make a pass. I couldn't see who that was, but it looked like trying to make a pass and just getting a little bit of contact side to side, door to door, and pushing him out just a touch.
Yeah, Jacob Money into the Ducks bill, found he was overdue on that bill, so not enough money in the bank for Jacob, and he at least carries on. Lost 1 position, but has quite a gap to make up to John Schwartz.
Yeah, John Schwartz losing out on the start. He had a really good position and unfortunately didn't quite get the hammer down quickly enough. And we got a car in the wall right there. That's going to be on the pit entry. That happens, I think, if you hit a little bit too much grass on the exit of that curbing, where the curbing ends. If you just get a touch of grass, that'll put you in there. But that's really uncommon. Very uncommon to see something like that.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. He touched the grass out of there, and the car spun around. Meanwhile, battle on screen down into the Interlagos. Ronan Hederman wins on that one. Gandor behind him. Gandor, though, almost being pushed through the turn by Sergey in the number 23. A little bit of a glance from him down into the horseshoe, but nothing doing.
Yeah, this Hederman, Gandor, and looks like Graben is also right there, right behind even Peter McCann, closing it up with Rory O'Shea, all having a very tight little grouping here. I think this is going to be where the majority of our racing is going on as we watch as Peter McCann trying to hold off. Is that, wait, have I misidentified?
I think
that was Gandor. Man, too many guys with very similar liveries on these cars.
Yeah, big slide out of Gandor, and he still managed to keep Sergey just behind him. The 23 not looking too strong off the corner, but so is Gandor, who slips up the tires once again, Michael.
Wow, that was a little bit too quick on the throttle back there. It's going to allow that chasing car to close up as we watch off the wing here. He's going to look down the inside and then back to the outside as the cross start finish as Jacob Money takes our fastest lap of the race so far with a 29.5.
Oh no.
Gets his nose in just a little bit too much. Going to be right in the middle of the Senna S entry, and more cars go around. One goes out, others go out, and unfortunately, they're doing the right thing there. And this is one thing that does bug me with a lot of these simulators, is when you go off to avoid a collision, you still get an incident point for that type of thing. I wish there was a way for them to code in that you're avoiding something like that.
Yep. Oh, and a massive wreck now on the Retta Aposta. McCarthy, I think, involved in that. There was a whole lot of cars involved in the incident there coming through the
got a lot of meatballs here.
Yeah.
We got 4 meatball flags. Rory O'Shea, Wingfei Chan, Tony Stack, and Brian McCarthy. I think that's across 2 incidents, though.
Yeah, I agree. So I think that was the first one that we watched down out of the Senna S, where it just kind of cascaded into one another. And then the second one that we caught the end of on the Retta Aposta. So we'll have to try and McDonald, I think, involved in that one potentially. No, it was Brian McCarthy rather in the 19. So we'll see if we can take a look at that a little bit later. But we're already halfway through this race with only 10 minutes in this one.
I think we missed something. I'm pretty sure we missed something because these cars are in a different order they were last time I looked at them.
Oh, yeah. Dempsey's ahead. Good call
Dempsey's
on that one.
Wow. I hope our director is able to find that pass because that's got to be pretty brilliant. For anybody to get around Ronan Doherty is pretty challenging, but Dempsey's a pretty good driver as we got Doherty looking inside, locking him up, trying to go down. Oh, no. And he's sideways. Good recovery, though. Nice job holding on to it, but this is going to really be frustrating for him. He's got a lot of time to make up now as that Corvette goes by, and he looks like, yep, another Aston's going to get by him. That puts him back into 4th place.
Schwartz and Money both managing to get past. I'm ashamed to say we missed it a long time ago. It was the start of lap 2 that Ronan went a little wide into the first corner. Dempsey just snuck on past and has not given up the lead since then. So he's been up there for a couple laps already.
Yeah, it looks like Money and Schwartz were able to just sneak by there. I think the Schwartz was with them. That's a groaner for you. There you go. Yes, the Schwartz definitely with him and putting the money down.
Yep, so Jacob is now trying to hold on to 3rd place. Here is where the pass for the lead happened. Don't quite think he touched the grass, although he was close to it, and then just locked him up, trying to get the car to slow up finally, and it was too late. Dempsey was past him. So we come back live now. This is all made an open goal for the number 16, and the battle is effectively for 2nd place between Schwartz, Money, and Doherty.
Yeah, this is going to be tight because we know how fast Doherty is, and I'm guessing Money and Schwartz both also are very aware. Oh, and we got a blinker. Ooh, he's going to blink in and out of there. A little bit of an internet connection issue from Money. Hopefully he's able to hold on to that. But for Doherty, that's not good news. He's able to use that draft, but when that car blinks out like that, the draft suddenly goes away, and it can make for some interesting aero effects going over the car, because once that car is gone, you suddenly get a downforce that you didn't have before. So if you've set yourself in a position with the right wheel position, that gets pretty crazy, especially going in and out.
Don't need to go to it, but Rob Parks had a wreck down in 18th place, had to tow the car. I didn't expect this many drivers to have issues this one. I knew it was going to be a bit frantic, but we've seen a lot of people have to come in and take their spare cars here today. And that has not been a good sign. Oh, and we've had another one right here as Tomlinson just came together with Peter McCann. And neither of them have tripped the incident limit with that one, but both have lost multiple positions and incurred a bit of damage in the process.
Yeah, really frustrating for Peter McCann. If you recall, in the first race, he had qualified P3, kind of where you expect a driver of his caliber to be, but just some seriously bad luck going through this race and the previous race. And we got a Corvette nose into the wall.
Looks like Joe Pinder. Yeah, the purple, teal, and white 22 sitting stationary. I'm trying to see if he is stuck or something.
I think he's stuck. He's going to have to tow out of that one. They're not going to be able to get him. But if we get back up, look at this. Look at this. He's trying to get his nose in there. Been right up on it. That is Doherty on Money. I love that paint job on Money's car, but Doherty wants to see the other side of the car. Whoa. In his rearview mirror. Gets up on the inside, but now he's in a disadvantageous position, trying to come back around as we head up towards the duckspill. Can he put the power down? I think he's just trying to be intimidating at this point. Gets the nose in yet again. Wiggly underbraking, goes a little bit wide. Now we've got it really going on. It's going to be a drag race coming out of Yunsao as they go and try to get up into the braking zone for Yunsao. And then a little bit wide into the brakes. Put down the power coming through the corner. Now comes the drag race.
Oh, and he gets into the back of Money this time. Tried to time it right and just clipped the rear bumper. Thankfully does not spin him around. It is a drag race. It's also a game of chicken for who can go the latest under braking. Let's see who's got the stones for this one as they hit the binders down into the first corner. Doherty's around the outside, but it switches back in his favor into the second part. No, still can't get it done. Great defense from Jacob, and they are on the final lap. He's going to have to make it stick next time.
Money is making sure those 3 dots on the side of his car stay on the side of his car. He's very happy to have those there, but the number 9 is trying to gain those back. He wants to get those dots lighting up on the side of his car instead, but wow, this is quite the battle we're watching unfold here between these two. Meanwhile, Schwartz is kind of checking out. He's happy to see these two fighting. Schwartz has got about a 1.5 second lead with 5 1/4 or so seconds in front of him. He's not going to get first unless something major happens to Dempsey, but Money and Doherty is where the battle is now.
Yeah, I got to think that it's going to be another run to the finish line if he could just get that good exit once again. Out of 22 starters, 10 of the drivers have visited pit lane at least once in this race. That is an incredible stat in a super sprint. And look at this exit off of there once again, trying to take it as far as he can go. But we got to check in with the 16, who is approaching the finish line and going from second to first this time for race number 2. Schwartz is on his own as those behind him have been battling hard. He'll take second place. Money is able to capitalize on third, and Ronan Doherty gotta be kicking himself today.
Yeah, Ronan Doherty putting up a really good fight there at the end, but I got to give props to Schwartz. Driving that Corvette is a challenge, and he really put on a masterclass of how to drive a Corvette at this track.
Managed to get it on the podium out there as the rest of them coming to the line. And I think we're going to have, it looks like 16 drivers managing to finish all 7 of the laps here today. So, man, this was a rough one out there for these guys. And remember, they're going to have a little bit of a warm up here, so we get a chance to catch our breath this time. So here are the results for the race. Dempsey taking the victory. So very good points for him in the first two races. Can he complete it with another podium in the last race? John Schwartz was second behind him, and Jacob Money finished in P3. Doherty didn't even manage to get it onto the podium. And Dennis Hanley Jr. was behind him in P5. Ronan Hederman was sixth today, rather. Seventh was Jamal Gandour, with Sergey Grabin, who's been a lot of fun out there so far this evening. And Evan Walsh finishes ninth. After that, it is Adam Dowling in 10th.
Then we have Wayne Douglas and Peter McCann bringing up that next row, along with Tony Stack. George Tarazzi holding on to P14, coming up pretty well from the earlier race. Sam Tomlinson, a little incident early on, hard to capitalize or to recover from. Then John McDonald, Wingfei Chan, one lap down, along with Rory O'Shea, Sean McClements, and Joe Pender, also one lap down. And then in 21st, Rob Parks. 22nd is going to be Brian McCarthy.
One more to go, 20 minutes, double what we just did. And maybe that'll cut down on a few of the incidents. Drivers know that they've got more time to try to push their way forward. What a start to the season in a new car here, Michael, because we expected it to be difficult, but I think the driver is getting a real faceful of just how tough it is.
Well, I appreciate your optimism, but I think we're going to see a 10-minute race doubled in this one, because this track, honestly, there's something about Interlagos that brings some aggression. And I don't know if it's the weather or what, but man, every time I drive this track, and I am a really cool-headed driver, if I'm in the car or if I'm in the sim, either way, I tend to keep a very cool head. Not that I've not lost my temper a time or two, but it's just, this track brings it out of you. There's something about the way it's put together, the quickness that things come together, the undulation even on the straights. It's just, every time I drive this track, it brings my heart rate higher than I would expect it to be. So I don't know if we're going to see much settling in on this one. I think we're going to see a lot of people really trying to see how much time they can make up, how much aggression they can put forth and get away with.
Well, we've got some time to settle into a couple of the replays while they warm up here. And I think this is the big one, it looks like, down into the Senate S. So it looks like the 23 lost it. And splitting either side of him, I think McCann was one of those. They managed to get around and then came back together on the other side.
Yeah, McCann did the right thing. He was able to get around clean while the other car kind of got caught up into it, but then got collected on the other side of it. And then a big push. Look at that right there. Oh, wow. That was some amazing heads-up driving there from that blue and black Aston Martin that we saw coming through that. That's tough to avoid crashes like that. And like this, when you just get a little bit of a pit maneuver, that's just frustrating.
Wingfei Chan in that 13 that we're riding on board with that was collected by that. Just miscommunication, unfortunately. So sad to see that go that way for them. And about a minute left before we are off to the final race of the afternoon. Not seeing many drivers get out and do some warm-up, which is a bit surprising, especially since they haven't come and chat to us either. A lot of times we'll get some of the podium drivers giving a quick talk between races.
Maybe they're trying to see if they can find their Xanax to get them cooled off a little bit for the next race.
Yeah, I wouldn't blame them. I wouldn't blame them if their focus is elsewhere right now, discovering the challenges that are on board with these GT1 cars. So, well, it's...
Although it could be a Smittix or a Guinness, that's another possibility. Don't drink and drive, folks. Don't drink and drive.
Do you know of a Brazilian brand of beer? I'm not sure if...
Not off the tip of my tongue. It's been a while since I've been down there, but they do have some good beers. They have some really good beers. A lot of German influence on their on their beers down there. So some excellent Pilsners, which technically is Czech, but still excellent beers that I've had down there. So yeah, I could see going for one of those. After the race, of course.
Yes, after. I mean, that's the nice thing about sim racing is you can have one, but I wouldn't advise it in a serious competition like this, certainly. And Wingfei Chan probably going to try and stay sober in that 13 as he is out to get half a lap in, and so half a lap off the track as well, coming through the horseshoe.
Well, I think that was the one spot that was missed in the track cleanup before, when they were trying to make sure all the grass was mowed during the first 2 races. So he was able to go and clear that one off as well.
All right, let's go to the starting grid for this last one. We've reversed the top 8, which means that Sergei Grabin is going to be starting on the pole for this one. It is Jamal Gandour who will be next to him on the front row. How many positions can they hold on to in this? Ronan Hederman will start from 3rd, and Dennis Hanley will be P4. Ronan Doherty starts from 5th position, and then Jacob Money starting P6. It's John Schwartz in 7th, and Keith Dempsey starting from 8th, our winner from last race. From there on down, it is just as it finished in the last race.
That'll be Wayne Douglas and Peter McCann on row number 6, with Tony Stack alongside George Darazi in row 7. Row 8 will be Tomlinson and McDonald. Row 9, Wingfei Chan with Rory O'Shea, and then Sean McClements and Joe Pender on row number 10. Row 11 is going to be our Rob Parks and Brian McCarthy.
Okay, so just about have everybody gridded up and ready to go. And it'll be one last one for this first round of 8. And we've got all 22 drivers back out there. That's what makes me happy about this, is they rarely see drivers rage quit on these between the races. They tend to be out here for a good time, and even if it doesn't go so well, they stick around to see if they can make it up in the following little race of the 3. So
yeah, I got to admit to a rage quit once or twice. I know it's happened, but you know, then you realize it's sim racing. It's fun. Nobody got charged anything for body parts, so it's not that big a deal, honestly. And you know, most of the sim racing is for fun. There are people who really do put a lot of time and effort into it, and I think the only time I've had a rage quit was when I felt like I put in 2-3 weeks really every day trying to get the perfect lap down and perfect setup, and been frustrated. But honestly, these guys, don't expect to see anything like that from them.
All right, put your coach hat and whistle on. Before they get going to green, what would you have been telling everybody after those first 2 races you saw?
Take a breath, relax, get your mind back into the game. Don't let anger drive you. Just follow the 3 Ps, and if you're missing one, go back a step.
Okay, Sergei is waiting for that pace car to dip off. Jamal off to his outside. Could he maybe steal that lead away at the start? What about Ronan Hederman starting from P3? He's been pretty quick in these first 2 races. He could be one to steal a march here, since he's got fewer drivers in front of him up at the start of this race. Pace car is in. Sergei not going to go immediately. Now he's on it. 23 gets the green flag, and he's definitely going to be the first down to the first corner, but will he be the first off of it? A little bit of an approach from 3rd place. Oh, no. Wow. Clear around the outside. Wow. Where did Money come from? He's got the lead away from everybody, and oh, they've got a big wreck behind them as a few cars get collected. Gandour, Hederman, both involved.
Wow. I watched that move by Money, and I thought, this is pretty brilliant if he can make it stick. And wow, did he make it stick. He had a little bit of touch alongside of and another touch back there. Looks like, wow. So our winner from the first race, that's going to be Ronan Doherty, trying to work his way back up there. So we saw Money kind of bounce off Doherty right at the start and get his way around, but now Doherty's trying to come back, getting right up under the wing of that car in front of him. Woo, this is quite a race as we've started off. Nobody's falling back to be patient at this point. They all have it going on from the very start.
That was actually Dempsey. So that was both of our winners banging doors, and there's more of it as Douglas gets shoved off. Oh, and he comes back across, gets banged as there was a ricochet, and unfortunately yet more drivers running into it. Someone absolutely piling through. Joe Pinder, I think. You were right on that call. We had a much messier race here right from the get-go.
Wow. Some leagues, they would throw a full course caution at this point and let everybody collect themselves and calm down a little bit. But looks like we're going to keep going because we've got quite the lead going on here. Looks like Jacob Money is way out front. He is already a little over a second, about 1.1, 1.2 seconds out in front. But Hanley, I don't think wants to let that go. He might be a little bit mad of that opening salvo and that run around the outside that Money had. Now he's going to try to close that back up. Not Keith Dempsey, sorry. Yes, I was right. Keith Dempsey working his way, trying to hold up there as well as we look at the number 19 here, getting a little bit sideways, trying to get some traction in the grass, get that car going again.
Oh, and he forces Durazi off the road, who spins into the wall. He talked about watching the relative box when you return to the track, and McCarthy, unfortunately, not keeping a close eye, and big damage on Durazi. The wheel is completely off, so he's probably going to have to park it. He's not the first to get a must-take repairs meatball flag. Himself, John Schwartz, Jamal Gandor, Peter McCann, and Wayne Douglas have all come into pit lane to get repairs or a spare car.
Yeah, this track eats cars, and the level of competition we're seeing here is eating cars. It really is. We have a lot of stuff to cover on replay, and I honestly have no idea where to start. But what I would like to see is a focus on Money and that run at the start. I honestly, that is kind of the highlight for me right here.
Yeah, we're seeing what we can pull up. I know Gandor was involved in the first wreck, and Ronan Hederman got collected in it. I'm not sure who else was a part of it. Hederman setting into pit lane. So here we go. We've got a replay. And yeah, this was unbelievable stuff from Jacob Money to make that call and then actually make it work. But I think he was maybe slightly involved with this incident, causing this 3 wide. That collects the pair of them, and trying to see who that is. That wasn't Hanley.
I want to say McCann, but anytime I see an orange and white car, I'm going with McCann. So.
I was talking about the dark green, the British Racing green car. I was trying to figure out who that was involved in that. And then we've got more incidents coming afterwards, unfortunately, here. Yeah, we're going to take another look at things.
So, yeah, everybody's trying to go 3 wide, which you can do here. You just have to...
Sorry, that was Sergey. That was Sergey that was pushing him around. So that was our pole sitter, actually, that kind of turned the car around.
Wow. And look at that. Still 3 wide, 4 wide, maybe 5. Nope. That's 3 wide, 2, 3, 2 back there through the midfield of that pack. And then going wide across that. Wow. There's just so much to unpack here. This has been a crazy... Oh, that was a self-spin. Got himself around and then kind of got stuck in the grass and difficulty getting the car turned around for the return. You really need to be able to turn off any traction control to get the rear end kicked around quickly. Oh, and coming back on. Oh, coming back on. That would be our 16 car. Yeah, that was our 6 car, which was our P2 from the last race.
Douglas. So, yeah. So that I was trying to see if he caused that one here. We're going to take another look at it. And yeah, he just went off and then came back on track before it was under control, and unfortunately, basically plowed into the side of it. Looks like
he got a little bit forced off there, though. If we can go back a little bit before that, I think he got pushed off track and then was more or less a passenger, because once you're on the grass, there's nothing happening. Yeah, that would be our. That's the Sprite car. I think he got pushed off by.
That's Doherty.
Doherty, yeah.
And then it was McCann, who was also the other one involved, taken out in that incident just speared into the wall. Numerous other cars also piled in. Sean McClement's off, coming through the Ducks Bill. Thankfully not as big of an accident. He gets going. Also, Dennis Hanley Jr. during all those replays had an off, didn't really hit anything. He's fallen down to fourth. He's trying to fight with Rory O'Shea down the front stretch. Rory might be able to get that fourth place away from him, but he's going to have to do it the hard way, coming through the first corner, and nothing doing on that one. He gets pushed backwards. Adam Dowling is behind him, up 6 positions here into 6th place. No, up 4 positions rather.
Yeah, Ronan Doherty pulling the fastest lap of the race so far has worked his way up to 3rd place. That's 2 positions up from where he started. A little bit of flashing of the headlights to remind somebody, hey, I'm coming through. I'm going to be quicker than you right here. Not always true, but at least you want to put that idea in their head. Nice view right up on the nose of that Aston Martin from the tail of another one. These guys are getting really close, but I think things have settled out just a little bit, getting the nose up underneath as they try to come back around. Woo, this is getting to be another exciting race.
O'Shea really wants this spot. Hanley Jr. is having to defend almost every single corner. He goes wide, but so does O'Shea. Behind them, they've got Dowling and Walsh. That's also 4th position. If they keep fighting like this is going to become a 4-way fight pretty soon.
Yeah, Dowling and Walsh, both really good drivers, looking for their opportunity to get onto the podium today. It's been a rough day for a lot of people we're used to seeing up on those steps, but right now,
look at this.
They got a good opportunity here. Good drag race.
Look at this. This is Dempsey making a go at money, but Jacob will deny him for now. So Keith is caught up. Oh, and Ronan Doherty is also getting there. So that's going to change hands potentially. Behind them, you can see some side-by-side between Hanley and O'Shea. O'Shea is finally through. Could be a bit of a better exit from Dennis. Hanley Jr. is, yeah, man, he's got a great run. And a big defense from O'Shea will keep him from getting the inside down in the Interlagos.
Yep, the advantageous position trying to go down in there, but couldn't quite recover, get into the brakes late enough to make that one work. Trying for the repass, but now he's got another opportunity just to hold on to him. It's not a bad position to be in, but with the just a little under 12 minutes left to go, time to settle in and get into a groove and not make any silly errors.
Let's head back to that 124 because Dempsey's still very close to the back of Jacob. Money has invested a lot in that start move, but unfortunately, he's going to hope that the interest really adds up here because already Dempsey and Doherty are just pressurizing him. They've got half the race left to go, and the 8 of McDonald's is getting out of the way very quickly to try and keep from getting hit by those behind.
Yeah, good heads-up driving there. When you get spun like that, you got to pay attention to what's going on around you. You don't want to take anyone else out with you. But let's get back up to the front here. This is Dempsey trying to come up onto Money, getting within 0.2 of a second, gets the nose up underneath and not quite enough to make the pass as they go into the center S, getting the power down. Next opportunity is going to be down this straightaway. Once again, we've seen many passes work here. Get way out there onto the runoff area, putting that power down. He has got the draft. Can he get a nose out? Just gets the nose over, tries to get in there, makes it under braking. Now do we have an opportunity for over under? Nope. Looks like Dempsey is going to hold on to P1.
Couldn't hold on to it forever. He does start to encroach back on that rear bumper. Oh, and he's going to try it. They're going to take each other out coming through the horseshoe, and they're going to collect 3rd as well. That's Ronan Doherty. He's able to keep going. Hopefully he didn't damage the suspension, but Dempsey falls all the way down to 7th. Money still in 2nd place. This is absolutely flipped around the podium.
That was a brave move. I don't think it was out of order, though. It looked like it was a clean move to me, and just a little bit of tight defending ended up spinning them both around. Looked fair. I would say that was a fair move on both parts. So really good racing, really tight racing. Let's take another look at it, though. Prepared to be mistaken as we watch. Gets right up underneath the inside. There was overlap, and it just depends on the league's rules. If you're looking at something like SRO, if you've got overlap, and it doesn't really matter how much, but if you've got overlap, you really need to give that space. You need to give racing room, and that was a good opportunity right there to show off that there was racing room given and then taken away.
That was pretty late, though. I don't know. I feel like that was ambitious from the 124, but you've had a lot more on-track experience than me, so I will defer to you on that one.
Receiving end of that one, and I protested it, and I got nowhere with that protest. So maybe it depends on who the stewards are. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, this was horrible for Dempsey, who was looking at maybe coming away with the most points of this weekend up to that point. And already he's taken that aggression out on Evan Walsh, just about swipes off the rear bumper of him. But Walsh is going to cut him off down into the horseshoe as well. This is great for Doherty because, remember, he didn't have the best of races in the last one. So this will put him on a little more even footing points-wise after this one with Dempsey.
Yeah, that'll be a good place for him to be sitting in comfortably. Doing a good series of races here, as we've seen, is incredibly hard. As I was mentioning during the break, this track really pulls aggression out of you. I see it in F1. I see it in all the touring car races here. I see it in GT races here. It just pulls aggression out of people, and you could be the Dalai Lama, and you're going to get aggressive on this track.
Yeah, I think tempers are flaring, and O'Shea is going to demote Money. Is this going to work out? He's got the inside into the corner. It'll depend on who gets the exit out of the second part of the Senna S. Usually goes to the outside car there, and it does, as O'Shea is now up into second. Money just could not hold him back. Dennis Hanley Jr. going to try to take him off the podium, but how about Rory? 16 positions gained. He started this race in 18th.
Wow, and two cars going wide there, both of them trying to get a little bit more than they were ready for, but Hanley wants to take advantage of it, gets up on the inside of Money. That's another position lost for Money. No change to be had here.
He's got a hole in his wallet now. He's just bleeding positions.
Oh, no!
And, oh, man, Money cannot seem to get things to work out today, as Dowling is now trying to attack on him. He at least keeps him behind, but he could slip down as far as 5th here. In fact, I think he'll be out of the top 5. He's going to spin. In fact, he will be. And for the second time today, Dempsey's going to hit him. Dempsey gets another whack out of Adam Dowling, and now he's hard into the wall. And Dempsey doesn't have, no, now he has the meatball flag as he unfortunately lets it kind of trundle into that final barrier. So he takes a tow.
And that puts Walsh up into P4, Dowling into 5th. Walsh right there, just leaving our screen, Dowling right behind him. And Money still holding on. Looks like, is Money going to have to go into, yep, looks like Money is going to go into the pits. I don't know if that is a, yep, that's going to be a black flag for Money. Oh, and then we got Dowling trying to make a hard pass going into the Senna S's. He is right up on Walsh. It looks like these guys are going to try to trade positions back and forth a few more times in the 6 minutes we have left in this race.
Well, I'd say that Dempsey owes Money one, because that's twice in this race he found himself taken out by that car. And coming down into the Interlagos, Dowling still attempting things here and there on Walsh. So didn't quite work out. Walsh holds on to 4th place. Hanley is now into 3rd, and he started from 4th position, so he's really using all the chaos around him to great effect. O'Shea, I already mentioned how many positions he's been up. Roto Doherty has gained 4 and is still leading by quite a healthy margin.
Yeah, and if we go back just a little bit towards, looks like Tony Stack and Jacob Money having a pretty tight fight here. Money having not the greatest of races. Started off beautifully, but kind of working his way back as we got a spinner. That's going to be Tomlinson, I believe, who went around there.
Tomlinson has shown up quite a bit in some of the other races, but this one, haven't seen as much of him until now. Probably not the way he wanted to appear. He's now down in 9th. Or was that Gandor that we saw?
Might have been.
That was Gandor in the 961 there.
Oh,
he's a lap down, so he's not in this. And did Dowling just overtake Walsh?
Looks like he did. Yeah, looks like Walsh went off, and Dowling was able to capitalize on that, get around him finally. Those two having really good hammer and tongs going back and forth. These guys putting down some really nice lap times, really good racing between them. But Dowling taking a big sigh of relief to be able to get past Walsh.
Yeah, and he's got a handy gap as well. 4 more minutes left to go. If anything, not to finish this race, but just to survive it. It's been some carnage out there in the second and third race of today. First one, who would have thought that wound up being perhaps our most collected of races. We've got another one in. Looks like Brian McCarthy. This is a black flag, but he's stopping in his pit stall. You're not supposed to do that.
Unless it's a stop and hold. I don't think it was a stop and hold, though. I think that was just a black flag drive-through.
We've got a replay on McCarthy here. Let's take a look. This is coming into Interlagos. It's hard to say that word with good diction. Interlagos. Anyways, he spins himself off.
Yeah, that was getting a little bit wide. He dropped the wheel outside, and if you have too much left a lock on your steering wheel, ooh boy, that was a crazy one.
Woo, very good catch. Who was that we were just watching? Was that Gandor?
I think that was Gandor putting on a drift show.
One more look at it. I think he dipped his wheels off.
Yeah, a little bit of grass. Nice four-wheel slide there. Good control, though. Good control after losing it.
Kept it from being worse because there's just not enough room on the outside usually to save that. Walsh did have plenty of room on the outside as that car drifted, but he was not able to retain the position, and he is going to have to give that one up when we saw that be handed over to his rival Dowling, who is now into fourth. 2.5 minutes left to go. I think actually we're going to get the white flag from Ronan Doherty here soon.
Yeah, it should be soon. Looking at about 1.5 minutes per lap. Looks like Doherty going through Yunsao, trying to get the power down, doing so nicely. No wiggles, right up to the edge of the grass there. He's kind of out there all alone, kind of where he's used to being, quite honestly. About almost 4 seconds out in front of O'Shea.
2 to go, just a little shy of what it would have been. So he'll cycle back around once more. And O'Shea, like you said, about 4 seconds back there in second place. Hanley Jr. About 5 more seconds behind and running on the last step of the podium. I said last time we had 10 of the 22 drivers visit pit lane. I think we are at 12 of them on this one that I have seen come through pit lane. Jacob Money has been through for a drive-through and hasn't stopped, but still had to work his way past his team. Probably weren't too happy to see that since he was at one point vying for the win.
Yeah, and looking back through the field, it looks like, well, there's a good little attempt there, but I'm trying to keep an eye on McCann, who's a little bit back here. He's trying to push up onto Sergey, and that's a pretty tight race that we got going on right now. It's about 3/10, but yeah, look at these guys coming through. Oh, Sergey going a little bit wide right there. I think that's going to be the straw that broke the camel's back, because he is right up under the wing. Check it out there, Peter McCann trying to get even closer. I think he's going to maybe try to push him across the start-finish line. Taking a little look to the outside, getting the run, has the hammer down, goes into the braking zone just enough. No, not going to be able to make that outside pass. Can he make the over-under? Nope, not going to do it. He's going to try to stay around the outside, get the advantage on the second part of the Senna S's, now on the disadvantaged side. But when they get down to the next corner, he's going to be in a good position. Now, does Sergey go for the defense? Is he going to need to? Don't think so. Looks like a big enough gap for him there.
And you can see there the last ones on the lead lap right now are pole sitter and McCann still fighting hard for 12th and 13th. And Doherty just kind of watching it all happen in front of him. Is on the final lap now, 1 to go.
1 to go, and kind of out there all by himself, still with about a 4-second lead over O'Shea. Another 6 seconds back to Hanley. And another giant gap. Dowling is about 4.5, 5 seconds off of Hanley. Walsh is actually trying to close that up again, though. But let's stick here with these guys, though. This is quite the race going on. You got somebody with the talent of Peter McCann. Peter, wow, he is such a brilliant driver. I've seen so much just beautiful driving from him, and I think he has just had some bad luck the past couple of weeks when we've been watching him. In the IR04, not quite his favorite car, it looked like, but this one, he is really good in it, and just having some bad luck here as we watch our leader go towards the start-finish line for the last lap.
It's a refreshing win for the Sprite car after he took so much pain in that second race, and he might be our points leader after the first round. O'Shea takes second, and Dennis Handley was third, and somebody's off through the infield section. That's Gandor again.
Yeah, Gandor again going off, and then looks like Peter McCann got around Sergey. We missed that. But that was a good little run there for him. I didn't see what happened. I'm guessing it was a dropped wheel or something, because yeah, good drivers there doing what they can. There's Money working his way through in P7 after that brilliant start. That was like the move of the year for me. That start that he pulled off. That's what I like to think I could do, and I do get good starts. But that was stunning. Oh, and so was that nice little nudge and spin.
Yeah, as far as the pass went, McCann forced, well, didn't force, but got an error out of Sergey. So into the first corner on that last lap, and he had to give it up. That's going to take us to a quick break, though. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews, so stick around.
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to ride around the world.
I'm Mick Claridge, and I'm going to ride around the world on my bike.
My son, he gave me advice at the start of this ride, and he looked at me and just said, "Dad, don't be a moron."
Let me do my animal signal to gain their respect.
How's it going, Sally? Yeah, I'm alright, Mick. How's it going? Worse than that bit in Lord of the Rings where they go into the top and the spiders in the tunnel. I'm just hoping there's a spider at the top of this one to kill me. Freezing.
And I failed. I moroned up the ride.
Welcome back to Interlagos. We now have ourselves our first race done in the GT1 Challenge Series for the RTA, and Ronan Doherty won the third race of the night after winning the first one and then missing on the second one. Rory O'Shea will be P2, and Dennis Handley managed to survive the regrid and get himself a third place. Not bad. Adam Dowling was fourth as Evan Walsh finished P5. Sean McClements, a bit of a quiet run from 19th up to 6th. And Jacob Money, unfortunately, despite a brilliant move at the start, wound up in 7th. Tony Stack was P8, Sam Tomlinson was 9th, and Wing Fei Chan was P10.
Ronan Hederman brought us P11 with Peter McCann with a last lap pass over Sergey Gravin right there. One lap down would be John Schwartz in that Corvette with Jamal Gandor in 15th. 16th is Wayne Douglas, followed by Brian McCarthy. Keith Dempsey, 6 laps down, along with Rob Parks and John McDonald in 20th. 21st position is going to be looks like Joe Pender, quite a few laps down, along with 12 laps down, along with George Darazi at 13 laps down.
And it looks like we've got our winner of the last race ready to talk to us, Ronan Doherty. Let's have a chat with that number 9. And Ronan, it looked like in the second and third race, things got a little rough out there. What's your take on these new GT1 cars? How did it go for you?
Yeah, won all right, 2 wins. Could have been 3, but a few silly mistakes on my part. Yeah, it did get rough for sure in the feature race. The first lap, there was a bit of door banging going on. But look, that's racing. Yeah, nothing else to say really.
So we noticed that a lot of drivers really were having trouble here with the extra power that these things have underneath them. It looked like it's quite the transition over from the IR04. Do you anticipate that'll start to get a little bit cleaner as the season goes on and everybody kind of adapts to what is quite a bit of power underneath their right foot?
Yeah, hopefully it gets a bit better. Yeah, these cars are fairly difficult to manage, especially when your tires start going off. You lose a bit of traction. But yeah, my races were clean enough, apart from one or two mistakes in the brakes on my part in the first race, so I can't really comment too much on what happened with the rest of the guys.
Still, it was a pretty good afternoon for you. By our estimations, you should easily be holding the points lead after this one. Going to go back-to-back on championships?
Yeah, that's the plan. It's not going to be easy at all. You have Keith, who for sure is really quick, and he's going to go all the way. Unfortunately, didn't get a battle with him in the last race because there was an incident in front of me, but yeah, it's going to be really tight, so I'm looking forward to the championship.
Oh, we are as well. Congratulations on 2 wins here today, Ronan, and hopefully we'll get to see him when we come back at Sebring.
Thank you.
Ronan Doherty, your winner here at Interlagos. And then Michael Johnson has caught up with the man who wound up second today, up from 18th in that last race, Rory O'Shea.
Wow, Rory, quite the run for you, up 16 positions on that last race. What was the wish you made on that Genie's bottle to get you there?
I don't know. I think maybe a lot of luck was involved there, but especially with all the chaos at the start. But I got a nice run there at the start as well, because there was just a huge gap, so I guess I was able to take advantage of that as well.
Yeah, that run on the start, you had a nice threading of the needle coming up into this huge cluster of cars, and then just cars went everywhere. And once again, going through the Senna S's, being able to thread that needle. Is that just brilliance on your part, or is that luck, or is it a little combination of the two?
Maybe it's just experience, I'd say. I've been doing it a long time, so you kind of are able to read these situations better and better every time. So kind of a bit of luck, bit of experience maybe.
So are you enjoying the Aston Martin, or do you think you want to try the Corvette? Which one do you think? Did you try them both and then decide this is the one you want to drive? Or was it kind of like, it's UK and I better drive the car from here?
I didn't even bother trying the Corvette. I don't know, I don't think it would be a great car for me, because I've heard it's good in the straights but not amazing in the corners, so it's the sort of thing maybe for certain tracks it could be better, but I'm still happy with the Aston now.
So quite the race for you, and quite the group of races, I should say, and lots of fun, I'm sure. Are we going to see similar finishes from you for the rest of the season?
Hopefully better in the heat races. I know I want to be up in the podium positions and battling with Ronan and Keith and all the other guys, so hopefully it will go a lot better than tonight did.
So who do you have to thank for today's podium?
Well, I want to thank Team Hyper, the sponsor Concert Mood, my teammate John, who got 2 podiums this evening, and then everybody at the team, Pix, Tom, John, and everybody else.
Well, thank you so much. That was Rory O'Shea, our P2 winner on today's final race. Joe, back to you.
That's going to wrap up our interviews. So we, of course, want to thank the RTA for bringing us on to cover part of this season. It's certainly been entertaining to start. And also a thanks to the team today, Michael, Zach, and Dougie. Make sure and check out our social media, our website, and our merchandise store. We got links in the description below for those. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. The next race that we're going to be covering will be the season finale at Sebring Tuesday, September 27th at 4 p.m. Eastern. And be sure to check out our other broadcasts that we have listed here. But until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.